Come here, shall I tell you about the patron saint of Ireland that I bet you've never heard of? That's right, not St Patrick, St Brigid. I've written an article on Medium that goes into, as far as I could find, St Brigid, the Catholic version, and also Goddess Brigid, the Wiccan/pagan version. But for this video, I wanted to talk about St Brigid, the Christian St Brigid, the one that we know of, the one that just gave Ireland a brand new bank holiday this weekend. Thank you, badass bride. All weekend, there has been festivals and events and celebrations and classes and talks and workshops all around the country in relation to St Brigid, specifically because it was 1500 years since St Brigid died, or since the Christian version of St Brigid died, allegedly. I'm going to tell you about 3 traditions of St Brigid while I show you 2 different festivals that I went to celebrate St Brigid and the festival of Imbolc, which she is associated with. The first one I want to tell you about is the Brat Brida. So the Brat Brida involves leaving a piece of fabric outside your house overnight that St Brigid can bless as she passes by. This piece of fabric mustn't touch the ground, so you put it on a windowsill or hanging off a bush on the eve of St Brigid's Day. I would surmise, and sure look, don't hold me to it because I'm an idiot, but I would guess that this particular tradition is related to the story of St Brigid's Cloak. The story of St Brigid's Cloak is that St Brigid wanted land in County Kildare to build a monastery on, and she went to the King of Leinster and she said, "Can I have some land?" And he said, "Absolutely not." And she said, "How about as much land as my cloak will cover?" And he said, "No problem, silly woman. Absolutely, you can have as much ground as your tiny cloak will cover." St Brigid went to the plains of Kildare and she asked her followers to each take a corner of her cloak. They all started walking in different directions and the cloak ended up covering quite a lot more ground than a cloak has any right to be covering. And so the King of Leinster, fair play to him, stuck with his word and ended up giving her hundreds of acres. Another possibly more popular and well-known tradition around St Brigid's Day are the St Brigid's crosses. School kids around the country every single year will make St Brigid's crosses to bring home to their parents. These things actually last. They're made out of rushes or straw and they represent a cross that Brigid allegedly wove together in order to explain Christianity to a dying pagan. Very similar to a story about St Patrick, isn't it? Where he used the clover to explain the Holy Trinity to a pagan. Anyways, I'm sure both stories are real. The St Brigid crosses are believed to protect your house from fire, which, as I mentioned in my article down below, is an interesting parallel to the goddess Brigid, who is associated with healing, poetry and fire. And I would say the least known tradition associated with St Brigid, or at least the one I didn't know about till this year, is the Breedogs. The Breedog tradition was born from something called the Biddy Boys, which I also only learned about this year, which were a group of young boys and girls who visited the houses in their local area, carrying a doll or effigy of St Brigid. The dolls, usually made from straw, would be dressed in white, and people would ask for a few pennies to be given to the doll. Further on to that then, there's the Biddy, which is a tradition that's still quite strong in Kerry. And I went down to Kerry this year to the Biddy Festival. So they call it Biddy's Day. It's actually a 3 or 4 day festival with loads of different events, and it all culminated in this big parade called the Biddy Parade. Going to this now was my first time experiencing the Biddy tradition. I had actually never heard of that before this year, before I started doing research for this video, and as soon as I found out about it, I was like, I have to go. So I went all the way down to Killorglin in County Kerry to see this Biddy's Day parade. She was a long drive. Kerry's even further than Tipperary. So I arrived a little bit early for the parade and got a nice spot for myself on the street. I'm in Killorglin and I'm waiting for the biddies to arrive. And I couldn't get over how quickly the streets filled up with about 10 minutes to go to the parade. The place was packed. Irish illustrator Kira put it well on Twitter. The Biddy is a folk tradition linked with St Brigid and the festival of Imbolc, where groups wear white, travel around playing music and carrying Breedogs. So each section of the parade was a different Biddy. Each Biddy is a group of musicians that have something in common. So some of them were from the same area, the younger ones, they came from the same school, etc. In the Biddy there was musicians, singers, dancers, all coming together wearing white, wearing straw hats and carrying Breedogs. So the parade was all the different Biddies going up the main street. They'd pause every now and again for a quick dance or a bit of music. And then they got to the very centre of Cloran town. And in the centre of the town then the Biddies took turns getting up on stage and performing for the whole town. really happy that I went to the Biddy Festival because I've never seen anything like it in my whole life. And I'm not sure I'll ever see anything like it in my whole life again. Till next year.
I don't want your gold and silver, I don't want your rice and land. I'm in love with a soldier, I promise him my hand. Her father spoke up sharply, you'll do as I command. You get married on a Sunday, you wear that wedding band. Step it out, Mary, my fine daughter, step it out, Mary, if you can. Step it out, Mary, my fine daughter, show your legs to the country man. Step it out, Mary, my fine daughter, step it out, Mary, if you can. Step it out, Mary, my fine daughter, show your legs to the country man.
The only disappointment with the whole thing was it did piss rain a little bit.
It's hard when it starts to rain.
But sure, listen, sure, look, if you stopped doing stuff in Ireland because it rained, you'd never do anything. As per usual, like good old Irish people, we just gone on with it. They played music and danced through it, and we stood there and watched through it.
He ordered 12 gallons of water, about 6 pints for every man. Some bread and port wine for the ladies, and 8 pots of marmalade jam.
After that, then a number of the biddies went around the different pubs in the town raising money for charity. After all was said and done then in Chlorglin, I went and stayed at a nearby B&B. It was kind of like a casual B&B in someone's home. So I had my own bedroom, a double bed, my own ensuite, and then in the morning they had their upstairs landing set out to be like a little breakfast area. So I had some cereal and made myself some toast before I headed off.
How gorgeous is this? I can't get over it. This is so affordable. It's crazy.
Halfway home then I stopped at Bunratty Castle to check out their Imbolc celebrations. Imbolc is something I haven't really touched on yet. Imbolc is the pagan celebration of the start of spring. Something that is linked with St Brigid, presumably because of her links and her ties and her similarities to the goddess Brigid, who would have been very closely intertwined with the pagan festival of Imbolc. So the Imbolc activities on in Bunratty Castle were fantastic. Demonstrations on how to make St Brigid's crosses. There was a vintage agricultural machinery showcase. There were Irish wolfhounds just walking around the place. Basically, the members of the Irish Wolfhound Society of Ireland had been invited to come bring their wolfhounds and hang out in the folk park all day and just talk to people about the breed. There was also music and woodworking on the streets of the little replica village that is inside Bunratty Castle and Folk Park. And my favourite thing by far was the Shanachie. So Shanachie means Old Irish Storyteller, and that Old Irish Storyteller was inside in the replica pub, doing what storytellers do best, telling stories.
There was 2 kinds of people in Ireland when I was growing up. There was important people that would never be punished in school, teachers' pets. The rest of us were the ordinary, common people. So I got loads of that in school.
And a storyteller, Shanachie, is different to a normal person who tells stories. They never stop. There's no break.
Now, you have to be honest. How many pints of Guinness a day do each of you drink? Not you. No, and I'll be honest with you, because Guinness is an acquired taste. And you give it 2 days. When you come on holidays to Ireland, you give it 2 days. But you drink half pints and glasses of Guinness. But by the 3rd day, and every day your vacation of your holiday, you must be drinking 5 pints each every day. It's food and drink. Food and drink. So you can have a pint of Guinness for breakfast. You can have 2 pints for your lunch. But once you get the 5 pints in, there's a list of lovely things that happen. I know one thing for sure is that the sun doesn't shine every day in Ireland. But if you drink 5 pints of Guinness, they guarantee you that you will see the sunshine. We're only a small country, you know that, and we're very small. We are 300 miles long, and we're 177 miles wide. But once you have 5 pints of Guinness pint, they guarantee this, you'll see at least 2 of everything. So you'll be speaking all languages. When you go into the pub tonight, you'll be in an Irish pub, drink 5 pints of Guinness each. And if you can remember for the first 3 pints, make sure you say out loud enough that they hear you, to all the Irish people, Sláinte. Yeah. Sláinte. Sláinte. Slán is goodbye, I said Sláinte is good luck. If you can do that for the first 3 pints, we call this custom and practice. You pay no money for the 4th pint. When you're drinking the 5th pint, you actually won't remember whether you said sláinte or not. You'll be up singing and dancing.
It's a real skill. It's really hard to describe. It's something that you really do have to put on your Irish book list to come and see for yourself.
Once more and it's lonely, never rolling. Never no more will I play all over. Oh, never no more. Oh! Thank you.
Before I finish up, I want to tell you about 2 of St Brigid's miracles. The first is her most controversial one, that she made a fetus go away by magic. So reportedly there was a woman who had taken a vow of virginity and she had slipped. Bet she did. And at the time in Ireland, unmarried pregnancy is not okay. This is even before the Magdalen laundries, right? Which were penitentiary workhouses where pregnant people who were not married were sent to up until 1996. The story goes that St Brigid made the fetus painlessly go away with some magic. Now, Church not delighted about this, and so there's been a lot of talk, and I detail that in the article below, around how the Catholic Church sanitised St Brigid, insofar as they even went to start listing her last on the list of Ireland's patron saints, just to put her back in her place. The second miracle I want to tell you about is the one that I think is the funniest, and it's where St Brigid, reportedly, turned water into ale. If you don't know what ale is, it's beer. St Brigid turned water into beer. The patron saint of Ireland turned water into beer. Could you play into the stereotype anymore? But also, what does St Patrick ever do for us? St Patrick is associated with drinking. Did he ever turn water into beer? I don't think so. So that's a little bit about St Brigid, Boss Brigid, and I hope you learned something. If you like this video, you might like my video about the truth behind St Patrick. Speaking of which, St Patrick's Day is coming up soon. Let me know if you want to know anything about any events or any of that. Let me know down in the comments below. And also, my St Patrick's Day merch is available on my shop now. Get it in time for St Paddy's Day, because he's the most famous one, isn't he? We're all celebrating St Patrick. Poor Boss Brigid gets left behind. Last on the list of patron saints these days. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Slán, slán.